Hey, everybody, welcome to From What You See. I'm John Harris. I will be doing this solo today because, um, as some of you may know, there are some very extenuating circumstances involving Bill and his family, uh, and we're hoping for all the best for them. There is a GoFundMe page. If you don't know the situation, there was uh, an emergency at Bill's house Christmas night, where there was a explosion outside, and his son-in-law was badly burned. Uh, and he is at Temple University in Philadelphia in the burn center. Um, if you want to read more about it, and I ask you, please go on the GoFundMe page. It'll say for James Recovery, James Recovery, and it is because they're going to need some help with medical bills and things like that. But he is in a serious condition. I don't want to get into too many more details because I haven't spoken with Bill today, which is Thursday as we record this today. The Thursday, the 29th. And we wish everybody the best there. Bill was there when it happened. And of course, his daughter was there with James's wife. They have an infant child, a baby. So it's a pretty dire situation. And like we've said, if you get a chance, please. And I will post the link on the Facebook page, my Facebook page, as well as the Public John Facebook page. It'll also be posted in the comment section of YouTube. But it is, and if you're listening on a podcast, please take a minute or two, go to GoFundMe and just look for 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 James Recovery. And we're hoping for the best from them and for him. Either way, if anybody knows anything about severe burns, you'll know that it's also going to be pretty painful. So there's a lot for that young man and his family to go through, of course. And so needless to say, Bill is unavailable. I will do my picks and give you updated NFL news. There is a game tonight. Under the circumstances, obviously, if Bill makes it back before the end of the season, okay. If he doesn't, that's fine. Obviously, we're more worried about his family and him and his son-in-law and everybody recovering than we are our silly football show. It's not that. It's not as important, obviously, on the scale of life. As Bill likes to say, as that being said, we're going to go ahead and try to move on, but please take a look for that GoFundMe page. It's for James Recovery, and help out if you can, and any little bit helps, because like I said, they don't have any medical coverage, so it's going to be a tough situation, a tough go for a while. So we will go into some NFL news that is affecting some of these games and actually might even be affecting some of the playoff races this weekend, because this is week 17, of which there's only one more regular season week after this. I'm looking over because things are changing fast and furious as far as people playing in the NFL this week that could matter. So I do have a crawl on over here on our screen to the left, as well as my screen right here to the right. So anything that pops up while we're on the show, I will let you know. And if it changes, I do have updated odds and lines from DraftKings, literally right off. I still have the screen up on the other side, actually. So we'll go into a couple of things NFL news wise. One of the things that came out was by tweet and confirmed later, J.J. Watt has stated that after the season, which is only this week and next week after the regular season, for the Cardinals, because they're not going to make the playoffs, J.J. Watt will be retiring, the great defensive end for the Cardinals. Having a great season, but he's had some injuries, and he has a wife and a 2-month-old baby, and he's decided that he's had a good career, and it's time to step away. And who can blame him? Who can fault him? He's put in time. He's put in everything. And you never know. Sometimes, Tom Brady's a perfect example. You get a twitch. Gronkowski did it once too. He stepped away and came back once, and there's talk of him maybe going back again if Tom signs somewhere else or something. But if not, we hope and wish J.J. Watt well. Class act, great guy, and a heck of a football player. And he's obviously a first-round Hall of Famer. JJ probably doesn't watch or hear of our little show, our little dog and pony show, but either way, we're still going to at least send thoughts and wish him well and thank him for all the entertaining that he's done for us and on all the hard work and effort that he's made to make the game a little bit better. So thank you, J.J. Watt, and we hope that you continue in life as successful as you did on the football field. Also this week, Daniel Hackett, the Denver head coach, was fired right after their awful loss on Christmas to the Rams. It was a terrible loss. And they have struggled all season when everybody thought they would be better. Russell Wilson isn't playing well at all, and they thought he would be better. Wilson did come out and make a statement that he's upset with himself for not playing better for Daniel Hackett. But it is what it is. They weren't very good. And I think the new Denver owners are like, well, yeah, but we can't go on like this. The new Denver owner has said that he wants the next head coach to answer directly to him, not a general manager. So he's going to be involved in the hiring, and he has a team of people doing some of that screening, one of being Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State under George W. Bush. So that'll be interesting as well. But she always has been a football fan, have been involved in football and in sports from an administrative side before. She's going to have a hand in the search for Denver's next head coach. Tua Tagovailoa, I do struggle with his name, and I do apologize, and I practice it, and it's hard. But Tua, for me, it is. Tua is going to be out. It looks like this week he is out, confirmed yesterday with his third concussion of the season. He suffered it Sunday. Wasn't sure that's what it was. Didn't tell anybody. Nobody picked up on anything, and finished the game. But Monday, symptoms started to show, and he let team officials know, and he's been in concussion protocol ever since. And like I said, he has been ruled out. Teddy Bridgewater will start for Miami against New England this week. I would, for his health, I know Miami's in the playoff hunt, but for his health, that's more important than, a game. For his future health. It's 3 concussions in about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks for Tua. I would keep him out for his health. That's more important. It would surprise me if he plays again this season, because there's only this week and next week. If Miami loses this week to New England, I think it's a done deal. I don't see him playing that at all. Um, but if they win, there could be some discussion and all. But and again, you got to sometimes protect the player from themselves. I would keep him out. It's only one more game. You're if you're that close that you need that win, then you probably got to improve just a little bit more for the next season, and you're not going to do that without Tua. I think he needs the offseason to recover completely. Concussions are no joke, obviously, but to have that many in such a short amount of time, and after having a concussion, it's easy to have another one, as we found out with Tua earlier in the year. So he needs to sit out. That's my opinion. He is sitting out this week. Whether he will be out for Week 18, we do not know yet. Carson Wentz has been named the starter for the Washington Commanders, and Heinicke has been benched. Ron Rivera, the head coach of Washington, has said it is to give the team a spark. However, one could argue that the team needed a spark when Heinicke went in and he gave it to them. He is really liked and respected in the locker room, but he has struggled the last couple of weeks with turning the ball over. So Rivera's trying one more shot with Carson Wentz to see what he does. He came in against San Francisco last week when Heinicke went to the bench and was a little dinged up at first, but basically Wentz did give them a spark and they did move the ball a little bit. By then it was a little bit too late, but so they're going to see what happens. Carson Wentz again starts, but I would say if he doesn't look good by halftime, don't be surprised if the switcheroo is done, for the second half. But right now, Carson Wentz is in the driver's seat as far as the starter for Washington, and that is against Cleveland. A lot of people rooting for Cleveland this week because of the playoff implications. I'm still going to go right now with Washington, but we'll go into all the picks in a little bit. Mike White is back in to start for the Jets. Zach Wilson is inactive and will remain so for the rest of the season. Joe Flacco is the backup. The kid that was, I think he's back on the practice squad, who gave him a bit of a spark last week. Strelter, I think his name is, played pretty well. But Mike White is really the guy they want to see, and I don't blame him. He's given that team a spark like Heinicke gave Washington a spark earlier in the season. White gives them that same spark, and he just looks like a better quarterback for the Jets right now. So he seems to be the top choice, and he's healthy enough now after suffering that rib injury a couple of weeks ago. He's going to be back in there for the Jets today and tomorrow, I should say, Sunday. There are no games Saturday this week. All the games are on Sunday, except for the regular Thursday night game tonight, and of course the Sunday and Monday night games. But everything is back on a semi-regular schedule. The Los Angeles Chargers clinched a playoff berth with their win the other night. Congratulations to the Chargers. Herbert is, I'll tell you what, he's tough. He's almost unstoppable. He's definitely in that short list of really good, if not elite quarterbacks, which is, of course, Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert. I still put Rodgers in there for now, and Jalen Hurts out of Philly. To me, they're the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. But Herbert, they figure out a way to win. They don't have a great running game, but they figure out a way to win, and most of that is because of Herbert. So Chargers make the playoffs. They'll be a wild card. It's a matter of whether they are 6th or 7th and who gets the bye in the AFC. Also this week, if Philadelphia wins, they will clinch the division. Unless Dallas loses tonight, then they'll clinch the division without even playing. And they could be the number 1 seed if they win. They'll clinch that as well. Jalen Hurts was at practice today. There's been absolutely no designation He's still listed as questionable on the injury report, as the Eagles will take on New Orleans this week. And that could be a pretty good. That's a pretty big game for Philadelphia. It is in Philadelphia. So Tampa Bay can clinch their division this week with a win against Carolina. Carolina could help their playoff chances with a win over Tampa Bay. So big game. That might be the game with the most on the line this week. If Carolina loses, they'll be out of it. If Tampa Bay wins, it's a pretty good chance they'll win the division because it's only New Orleans, Tampa, and so it's a big game. Tampa, New Orleans, and Philly too. Tampa and Carolina. So Tampa wins, Philly wins, Tampa more likely to win the division. Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. The Texans are starting. This sounds like a joke, but it's not. Is starting a rocket scientist. Joshua Dobbs was yanked off 8 days ago from Detroit's practice list and signed by the Texans. And because Malik Willis has not done well, filling in for Ryan Tannehill, who is more than likely done for the season and any playoffs they may make. Right now they lead their division, but it's a slim lead. And they've been faltering. They're looking for something they hope from Dobbs. Is Dobbs the natural? And if anybody gets that, then you truly are a sports and a sports movie fan. But let's see if Dobbs is a natural. He is truly a space scientist, rocket scientist with NASA. So that part was not a joke. He is legit. So he's a smart guy. But we'll see how good he is at quarterback. And of course, they still have Willis there to back up in case he either struggles or gets hurt. Willis has only thrown just a tick over 50% completions. So you're thinking maybe Dobbs will give the Texans a spark. Or not the Texans, I apologize. No, I'm sorry, it's Tennessee. I don't know where I'm at. It's the Titans. Let me take a peek at what's going there. Yeah, it's the Titans. Tannehill's out. I've been saying Texans the whole time. It's Tennessee. Dobbs is in. Willis will back him up. For Dallas in that game, Tony Pollard is out. A thigh injury. He will be out today for tonight's game. Jeffrey Simmons is out as well. So it's going to be a tough night for Tennessee, I think. So we'll see what happens. It doesn't look good for the Titans, though they need a win badly. If Dallas wins, they stay in the hunt for the division and will depend on what Philly does Sunday with New Orleans. And I think that's the case. That's the scenario. So we're going to go ahead and pick the games. I will give you the totals for now. Bill, in 16 weeks, his straight head-to-head picks is 140-97 with 2 ties. So he is at 59.1%. I am at 149-88 with 2 ties and at 62.5%. Against the spread, Bill has struggled 109-125 with 3 pushes at 47%. I haven't done great either. 121-113 with 3 pushes at 52%. Not as good as last year, obviously, when we were actually finished ahead of Vegas. Right now, I'm a few percentage points behind Vegas. And unless I do great and pick a whole slate of games against the spread, and then and Vegas loses them all in 2 weeks, I don't see me being able to catch them. But we are both better than average, so that's important. Last week, we were both 12-4 head-to-head. So it was a good week in straight-up picks. But when you put in the Spread, Bill was 6-10, and I was 8-8. I apologize. So, yeah, I was 8-8. Bill was 6-10, and that's why we've got the percentages that we have for the season. This week's picks, we'll go into them fairly quickly. And I am, like I said, I still keep looking for any possible news. There is a sports news headline that world-renowned all-time soccer player Pele passed away on today, actually. He was 82 years old. Pele won 3 World Cups, and he was and is still known as the greatest soccer player ever. Of course, he's from Brazil. He won those World Cups with Brazil, and he is gone from us. Though 82, it's still going. He was a class act, a great gentleman, and a terrific ambassador for the game of soccer or football, as most people do call it. I'm looking to see right now on the scroll on the screen if there's anything. It looks like he'd been going through colon cancer treatment since 2021 and had been in the hospital over the past month for various ailments. He is, like we said, he was a great gentleman, a great ambassador for the sport. Pele passes away today at the age of 82. And that's a bit of sports news there for you. Again, not great sports news, but it is up to the moment. He passed away today in the hospital in Brazil. I don't see any other overly breaking news, so we will go ahead and start the picks. Like I said, Bill has other things he is doing that are a lot more important than this little dog and 3-legged pony show. So we will go from there. Reason I'm wearing a Kansas State Wildcats hat is New Year's Eve day. The Wildcats will be playing in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. That is an early game because later on that night you have the two semifinal games for the college football playoffs championship, where it'll be Michigan against TCU and Ohio State versus Georgia. But earlier in the day, you can watch Alabama get beat by the Kansas State Wildcats, who are ranked 10th at the moment. I believe Alabama is ranked 6th. It should be a good game in the Sugar Bowl. So there we go. That's why I'm wearing that. I am wearing an Eagles jersey for Sunday. And of course, I have a brand new Chiefs cup that was given to me for Christmas. And of course, it was given to me so I would use it. And I don't know. There it is. There, you guys can see it. I thank Joey Dudek and the crew for giving me that and a few other things. Thank you, folks. I don't want to hide the Chiefs insignia. There we go. So I'll probably use this soon on a special Public John podcast, What's in John's Cup. So we'll see what happens with that. Time to start talking a little bit of football. Dallas and Tennessee, the odds up to the minute, 13.5 points is what Dallas is picked by. And I got to go with Dallas because even though it's 13.5 points, you're starting a NASA scientist, but he's not a experienced quarterback. I think Dallas is going to throw a whole bunch of stuff at him he's never seen before against athletes of the caliber and speed he's never seen or played against before. So we'll see what happens there. And Dallas is playing to try and stay in the hunt for a first-round bye, possibly. They are missing Tony Pollard, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to take. I think Dallas is going to just take that game and 13.5 point spread. And I'm actually thinking Dallas is going to win by more than the 13.5. So I'm going to take Dallas straight. I'm going to take Dallas to cover, so I'm taking them across the board. Carolina at Tampa Bay. I've been fighting the heck out of myself for this one, but the spread is only 3. Tampa Bay is favored by 3. It is in Tampa. Remember, 3 points, 0 to 3 is usually somewhere what the home team gets. So I think the odds makers are thinking it's an even game, and Tampa's giving away 3 because they're at home. Sam Darnold, the quarterback for Carolina's played a lot better. Their running game has gotten a little better, and their defense is pretty good. But I am finally going to accept the fact that Tom Brady figures out ways to win if he keeps it close, or if they keep it close, and I think that's the case here. It wouldn't surprise me if Tampa Bay goes down the field and wins by a field goal, and it's a push, or they need a field goal to win it. But I'm going to take Tampa, and I am going to take them across the board, though it's a 3-point spread. I think maybe they get down the field and score a touchdown to win by about 5. So, but I'm going with Tampa for now, unless something on the injury level front changes. If something like that changes, I will let you guys know on a special express show Sunday morning. But we will see if nothing really realistically changes, then I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Atlanta and Arizona. I was fighting this one, but it looks like Colt McCoy is going to play. He's not on the injury list. That's a big deal. Kyler Murray is out for the season, the quarterback for the Cardinals. McCoy is a more than reliable quarterback, and I think he will do enough to, again, that spread is 3 as well, and I think he will do enough for Arizona to win, even though it's in Atlanta. Atlanta is still playing their young quarterback Ritter. I think J.J. Watt wants to go out on winning notes, and he'd like to win the last 2 games of his career. I think they're going to put pressure on the young quarterback, and I think there could be problems there. And James Conner has run the ball pretty well. A.J. Green may be out receiving core for Arizona, but they still have Hopkins, and I think Arizona is going to win, and I think they'll win by 4 or 5. I think they'll beat the spread. Chicago and Detroit, 6-point spread for Detroit. Outside of Justin Fields, Chicago doesn't have much offense. They run the ball a lot. And I will say Detroit's defense isn't great, but I think they're going to outscore the Bears. And I think they're going to outscore them by plenty. Right now, the spread is 6. I'm going to take Detroit across the board to beat the spread. They are favored by 6, and I'm going to take them to win by more than 6. Cleveland and Washington, we talked about this a little bit with Carson Wentz being the starter. The spread is only 2.5. Cleveland hasn't shown me much at all season long with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. The second half of the season hasn't been much improvement. I don't know if he's still feeling his way in the offense or what, but I don't see it. Problem is, Washington's still playing around with the quarterback situation. Heineke had given him a spark, but he had problems turning the ball over the last couple of weeks. Hence the reason they're going to Wentz. Hence it's Wentz. So all that being said, it's only a 2.5-point spread. It's for Washington in Washington. They need the game. Cleveland's not in the hunt for anything. I think Washington's going to win out of the sense of urgency to try and hang on to a playoff spot. So I'm going to take Washington, and again, across the board. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing Denver, and I'm going to make a change on the fly. Kansas City, remember, Denver fired their coach. Sometimes when that happens, teams rally around themselves and the interim. Kansas City barely beat Denver last time. I think it'll be a little bit of the same. The Chiefs will win, but I think Denver might cover because that spread, again, is huge. It's now up to 16.5. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's 12.5, but it's up to 12.5 points. I think the Chiefs will win, but I think Denver may cover, barring any other news out of Kansas City or Denver. It's in Kansas City this time. I think the Chiefs win, and I think they win by more than the 12.5. Wouldn't surprise me if it's a 35-17 type of game, 35-14, something like that. But I'm thinking Kansas City will win, and they'll cover the spread. Next game on the list is the Giants and Indianapolis in New Jersey. I think this is more wishful thinking on my part. I admit it, but I'm not overly impressed by the Giants. If it wasn't for Barkley and Daniel Jones being able to run and scramble, I don't think they'd have a whole lot. If Indy can figure out a way to slow Barkley down a little bit, I think they have a shot at hanging in the game. I, for some reason, have this urge, so I'm going to go with it. It's that time of the year, and I could use a game or two to gain on Vegas. So I'm going to say that Indy will beat the Giants. It is my upset pick of the week. The spread is the Giants by 5.5. I think Indy will cover that because I think the Colts will win it. Why not? I'm going out on a limb there, but I'll take it. I think they play hard for Jeff Saturday, and I think they may win it. Now, the only problem is Indy's best running back, Jonathan Taylor's done for the season. But the kid Jackson looked pretty good last week as well. So we'll see what happens. If I have an express and I have a couple days on Sunday and have a couple days to think about that, I might make it that the Giants win, but Indy covers. But for right now, I think Indy may win the game. So I'm going to go with them. Miami and New England. Tua is out, like we already discussed. Teddy Bridgewater will start for Miami. This one has been in my head all week to say, take New England, take New England, take New England. I don't know why New England doesn't score a lot of points, but Miami's defense isn't very good. They've been beating everybody with high-powered offense. If New England can keep Miami in the game defensively, which I think they can, they can contain the Dolphins a little bit because New England's got a pretty good defense. It's just they don't have much offense. I think New England can win the game. So I'm going to go with New England across the board. That is probably more of the upset pick than anything else. But right now, because 2 is out, New England is picked by 3. So it's not necessarily an upset pick. Don't know why. I really don't. But I'm going to go with New England to beat the spread as well. I think they might win a 13-6 game or something. But if it gets above 20, then Miami's probably going to win the game because I don't see New England scoring that many points. But I think they'll score enough points to win. New Orleans is going to Philadelphia. The spread is 5.5 now. It looks like they haven't come out and said it yet, but it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to play. He wants to. He worked out today. He practiced. Was a full participant in practice today, throwing the ball. Apparently the worry isn't whether he can throw the ball. The worry is him getting hit or landing on that throwing shoulder. Would it cause more damage? So, or re-injure it. So that's what they're going to look for, and that's the decision they'll end up getting made. As of right now, no decision technically has been made. He's listed as questionable on the injury report. We'll see what happens there. I think that's why the spread went from 6.5 to 5.5 because you got a little uncertainty whether it's Minshew or Hurts playing. Either way, I think Philly will win. But if Minshew plays, I think it might be a little closer, and I might change the express to New Orleans to cover. But I think Philly will win it. If Philly wins it, remember, they will clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they will clinch winning, of course, the Eastern Division. New Orleans needs the win because if Tampa Bay loses, they have a shot at winning the division, and that would get them in the playoffs. So, big game for both teams. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm taking Philadelphia for now. Taking Philadelphia to win, New Orleans to cover. I think New Orleans may cover it. I think it might be a closer game than Philly wants because it's 5.5. But I think the Eagles will win. Probably something along the lines of 27-20. I'm sorry, 27-24. You know, a close game, but Philly will hang on to win. Pittsburgh against Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, it has not been said whether he's playing or not. He is listed as questionable as of 5 minutes before the show started. So as of right now, he's considered questionable. If not, Hundley would play. The spread is 3 points. I'm going at Sunday night. That game got flexed to Sunday night. I am going with Pittsburgh to beat Baltimore. It's a bit of an upset as Baltimore's picked by 3. I think if Hundley plays, that spread may change as well. If it does, obviously I'll let you know on an Express. We'll have one if any spreads change big time, or if I'm going to change any of the picks because we have news or something. But for now, I'm going with Pittsburgh. Basically because I think Lamar Jackson's going to be out again. They haven't said it yet. He is listed as questionable, but I just get the feeling he's going to be out, and Hundley will have to start. And I think if Hundley starts, the drop-off's too much. Kenny Pickett looks better and better every week. I think he's going to be the Steeler quarterback of the future. They made the right call there. Now they need to get him the weapons to help him and support him. But I think that's the right call. I think they made the right move. Pittsburgh, even though it's in Baltimore, I think Pittsburgh will win, and I think they'll cover the 3-point spread. The Jets in Seattle. The soap operas continue in New Jersey with the Jets. Mike White is back, like we already stated. The Jets are picked by 1.5 over Seattle. I like Mike White. I like the way they're starting to play. They play hard for Robert Saleh. But that being said, as Billy would say, that being said, Seattle should have all of their weapons. It looks like I think Lockett was out. He's listed as questionable now, but they're saying they think he'll play. Of course, you still have Metcalf. You still have Walker, Geno Smith. When he has all his weapons, just playing well. They got to watch out. The Jets have a really good defense. The spread's only 1.5. I'm taking Seattle to win the game, and at 1.5, I think they'll win across the board. So I'm taking Seattle there to win that one. San Francisco and Vegas, more drama, sports fans. David Carr. Was it David? Yeah. He is been sent home, basically. He'll be away from the Raiders the last 2 weeks. And after listening to some folks and reading a lot of stuff about it, it looks like it is a financial decision because they can't risk him getting hurt the next 2 weeks because then they wouldn't be able to waive or trade him. And since they are basically out of the playoffs, and it appears that they are going to move on from David Carr in Vegas. He is home. The Raiders are going to start former New England backup Jason Stidham, who is familiar with the offense being run by Raiders head coach McDaniel. And I think you're going to hear some grumbling. There's already a couple bits of grumbling coming out of Vegas because Davante Adams went to Vegas to play with David Carr because him and Carr were teammates in college and they are very good friends. And he went there to play with him. And now, without this first season even being over, it looks like Vegas is going to cut themselves loose from Carr. And I have mixed feelings on that. He had a tough year with interceptions, 14 of them, which ties him for the most he's ever had in one season in his career. But when the Raiders were going through really off and on the field issues last year. The guy that got them to where they had to get to make, and they made the playoffs, was David Carr. He was such a leader, and he showed he would do anything to win. And that last game of the year in overtime, they won it. They could have tied and won, and instead they went out and won the game in overtime on a gutsy call by the coach and a great play execution by Carr. That's without Davante Adams. I think they're going to blow it up and try to bring in another quarterback. Personally, I think that's a mistake if they blow it up. But Josh McDaniels, the coach, and I think owner Mark Davis, Al Davis's son, is going to trust him and go with that. I personally think it's a mistake. I could be proven wrong. I think the Raiders' problems are they need maybe one more weapon on the other side of Adams, because the offense is pretty good. They need some offensive line help, and they might need a little bit of help at linebacker on defense. So it looks like they're making Carr the scapegoat, and I feel bad for him after what he's done for that franchise, not just on the field, but even getting through the John Gruden thing, getting his team through the interim coach, and getting him into the playoffs. I don't know. I just think the way they're going to do this to him is wrong. The only thing you can hope is that he gets traded or somehow gets on a good team and can prove himself. And there are some teams that need an upgrade at quarterback. And I think for quite a few teams, he would be an upgrade. I mean, we talked about the Jets. I like Mike White, but I think Carr would be an upgrade for the Jets. You take a look around the league, and there are some places where he could be a lot better. The Falcons, he could be a good quarterback there, but they may decide to stick with their young guy and see how he pans out. Washington could be a place that needs a quarterback. I mean, you can go down a list of teams that could use a better or different quarterback. So I think of job opportunities for him. It's a shame because he wanted to stay a Raider. He's even come out and said he wanted to be a Raider for life. He wanted to retire as a Raider. It now does not look like that's going to happen unless he decides to retire if he's cut. He may decide, you know what, I'm done, because he is home. He's not with the team. So he may be talking it over his family, and he may say, you know what, he might be not like Andrew Luck, who left as a big surprise, but he may say, you know what, I'm done putting my body through this. I was a Raider. I wanted to stay a Raider. They didn't want me, so I don't want to go anywhere else. We'll see what happens. That being said, the Raiders are playing the Chargers. Or I'm sorry, the Raiders are playing the Niners. Of course, it went from 6 to 9.5 on the spread because now without him playing, I think the Niners will beat the spread. They'll beat the Raiders. I think Stidham's going to see more gold, red, and white in his face than he's ever seen before, even in his dreams. I think 9.5 is kind of small. I think the Niners are going to just jump all over Vegas. It is in Vegas. I don't think that makes a difference. I think it's going to be Niners all the way. And they're going to and they may realize they made a mistake, but it's too late now. So, or they may say, you know what, we're not really going to care because we're going to blow the thing up. So, feel bad for Stidham because he may get pounded or hurt or something. We'll see. And Brock Purdy's no joke for San Francisco. I mean, how great is it to have your third string quarterback, who was the last person drafted, Mr. Irrelevant, come in and do what he's done? I think he's gonna have another good game against Vegas. So it's gonna be Niners. 9.5 is the spread. Pick them to win and cover, folks. Put your money down on the red and gold. Minnesota at Green Bay. If I had whiteout, it'd be all over the place on this one. Minnesota is 11-0 in games decided by less than one score this season, which basically means 7 or less, 8 or less. Uh, they have won all of those games that have been decided by that margin this season. However, they are playing in Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers. He may not be the GOAT, but he's maybe plural. He might be GOAT number two. Uh, and now he's got most of his weapons back. They're not sure about Christian Watson. He may be banged up with a hip. He's unquestionable. So we'll see if he plays. But Dobbs is back. Cobb's had a pretty good season in the slot. He's got Dillon and Rodgers in the backfield. Or Jones, I'm sorry. Jones and Dillon in the backfield. He's got a tight end that's starting to catch the ball for him. I think the Packers are starting to put it together. And Minnesota is so inconsistent up and down. It's in Green Bay. I think it's Green Bay. I think by more than 3.5. That Green Bay is picked by this game by 3.5, which surprised me. But I'm taking Green Bay and I'm taking them to cover. I think if they can slow down or get to Cousins a little bit and contain Jefferson, they're gonna win the game, and they may win pretty big. You never know. Special teams could do something. I don't know, but I think Green Bay by more than 3.5. You have the Rams and the Chargers. Baker Mayfield's done well. Man, what they did to Denver made them look like the Super Bowl champs all over again. But then you got to remember, they did it to Denver. So Denver's not very good. But Baker Mayfield looks pretty good. I mean, he's not going to be your starter next year. Matt Stafford, if he's healthy, will be back. And he's already said he's not retiring. There was some speculation Stafford would retire. He's not going to do that. So Green Bay, 3.5 is the spread, and I'm picking Green Bay to win it. If the spread goes up at all, I may change for Minnesota to cover. But for right now, I'm going to go with Green Bay and Green Bay to cover. We said Rams, Chargers. Oh, I already talked about Green Bay to cover, and I apologize. Rams, Chargers, 6.5 is the spread. Herbert, Justin Herbert is just the man. He's incredible. But Baker Mayfield did well. I think the Chargers are going to win the game, but I think the Rams may cover. Herbert may have to bring them from behind to win. So I'm going to take the Rams to cover because it's 6.5. Especially the way they played against Denver last week. But I should hold that and realize it's a mirage. But I got a little faith in Baker, and I think the Rams will try to keep it close. So I think they'll cover, but I think the Chargers will win the game. Remember, the Chargers are already in the playoffs now. If it gets to a certain point, their position can't change. They may rest a couple people, but we'll see. And the big game is Monday night. Buffalo and Cincinnati. It's in Cincinnati. It is a 1-point spread for Buffalo, which tells you it still was almost a pick'em game because, if anything, Cincinnati would have been down by 2 at home or in Buffalo. So it's Buffalo by 1. It's going to be tough. Cincinnati is playing really well right now. I mean, Buffalo's been good all season, but they've had a couple lulls. They've lost to a couple teams they probably shouldn't have lost to. They can't have that letdown against Cincinnati. Buffalo is in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the AFC. They will know by then if Kansas City won. To keep that number 1 seeding and get the first round bye, they got to win. And Cincinnati's looking to try to get themselves back in that hunt to do that too. They have a shot at it. So both teams need this game for playoff seeding. They're both in, but it's for playoff seeding at this point. And you want to get that bye. And even if you can't get the bye, you'd like to fight for number 2. So at least you have home games, at least 1 or 2. So big game. nobody appears to be out from what I saw. A couple guys questionable, but they've been questionable for a couple weeks. It looks like it's full on for everybody, unless Jamar Chase is hurt a little bit more than some folks were saying earlier. But we're going to go ahead and say that it's going to be um, Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are playing better right now, and they're at home. And remember, even if they fall behind, they're liable to come back on you. So don't hold that. You've got good running backs. With Mixon and Pirine. You've got Chase. You've got Higgins. I mean, now Joe Burrow knows who he can go to besides Chase if he's covered. He had that few week span where he could figure that out. I really like the way Cincinnati's defense is playing right now. Buffalo's playing pretty good D too, but if they slow Buffalo down a little bit, I think Burrow's got enough weapons, and we know he's got it. So does Josh Allen. I'm not taking anyone from Josh Allen. This is one of those battles where it's not quarterback versus quarterback, but it is quarterback versus quarterback. They're really both great, and it may come down to which one has the ball last. This could be if the offenses play the way they usually do, you could see a 38-36 game or something, 41-38, or it could go the other way, depending on weather and depending on the defenses. So I'm picking a high-scoring game, and I think Cincinnati will score. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they march down the field in the end to win the game. It's a tough one. It's a 1-point spread for Buffalo, like we said, but I'm going with Cincinnati to win the game in Cincinnati. So there you have it, folks. 2 or 3 games I'm picking opposite of the spread, a couple of upsets in there, and that'll be it. For my pal Billy Smith, and again, please go to the GoFundMe page and take a look. It's for James Recovery. Please take a look at that and help the folks out, because they're really going to be in a jam no matter what happens. We're pulling for James. Hang in there, buddy. You got a lot to fight for. You got a nice little family there, plus your family already. Fight. We know you're a tough guy, so let everybody see that. It's a chance for everybody to see how tough you are. Keep fighting, pal. And for his family, all our best wishes, all our condolences. Billy, you know how to reach me if you need to for anything, and I mean that. So let us all send our good thoughts or prayers, whichever you're inclined to do, well wishes for James and Billy Smith and his family, and James's family as well. And we, like we said, we hope you go to the GoFundMe page. It's GoFundMe for James Recovery. I'll have the link on the Facebook page when we post the video, as well as the YouTube comments page as well. For Billy and for Gizmo and all the folks here at Public John Media, we just want to say thank you for tuning in. You folks have a great weekend. Enjoy the college games. Enjoy the pro games. It's going to be a lot of fun. The bowl games will decide what's happening next. So remember, gang, going to be a lot of fun. For all those folks I mentioned, have a great week. Enjoy the game. Look for an express on Sunday morning. Goodbye, everybody.